Saludos, bienvenidos. El gran día llegó porque yo no sé si ustedes, pero yo llevo haciendo un conteo regresivo para la fecha de este webinar. Me quedé con muchísimas ganas de seguir escuchando a John Maxwell y aquí está John. Welcome, John.
Great to be with you, my friend.
Thank you so much. Todos estamos a la expectativa de pasar esta hora juntos y escucharte. So we are eager to listen to you. Quiero decirles que John ha sido declarado el autor número 1 en ventas por The New York Times gracias a sus más de 25 millones de libros traducidos a 50 idiomas. Más de 40 de sus libros se han publicado en español. La American Management Association lo ha nombrado el líder número 1 en negocios y Business Insider y la revista Inc. lo consideran el experto en liderazgo más influyente del mundo. Fundó 2 compañías y 2 organizaciones sin fines de lucro que han capacitado a más de 6 millones de líderes en los 196 países del mundo. Fue galardonado por la Luminary Leadership Network con el premio Madre Teresa por su liderazgo y paz global. ¡Wow! I want to be like you when I grow up. Cuando yo crezca, quiero ser como tú, John.
You will be, trust me. Plus, more.
John ha dado conferencias por todo el mundo. You speak to people all over the world every year, don't you?
I sure do. In fact, this year I've been in Australia, Asia. I just came back from Europe. And I'm a traveling man.
Y también das muchas conferencias en Latinoamérica. You speak a lot in Latin America, too.
Oh, I love Latin America. In fact, almost every country, and recently Guatemala and Paraguay. In fact, we're very excited because in Guatemala we're doing leadership roundtables, and we've seen almost 200,000 people go through leadership roundtables to be trained in leadership values. We're getting ready in a couple of months to launch Paraguay the same way, and we love Latin America. Beautiful, beautiful people. When God created people, He started it with Latinos. and he just said, it starts with perfect people and I go downhill from there.
Oh, wow. Me encanta eso. ¿Por qué viajas tanto? Why do you travel that much?
Well, I love adding value to people. I really want to help people overcome obstacles and really make the very most of their opportunities. And most of all, I love Latin America, and we love Latin America.
Wow. Y eso nos lleva justamente el alcanzar nuestro potencial al tema de este webinar de hoy, convirtiendo obstáculos en oportunidades. Yo quisiera preguntarle a John, y aquí él está para respondernos, ¿por qué cree que los obstáculos y los problemas son tan difíciles para la gente?
Well, we all have them.
Yes.
And they're just really a part of life. In fact, Sidney Harris said that when I hear somebody say life is hard, I'm always tempted to ask, compared to what? I mean, life is difficult and everyone has problems. You've got problems. I have problems. We all have challenges and failure within our life. So the question isn't, are we going to have challenges or are we going to fail? The question is, are you going to learn to what I call fail forward? Are you willing to learn how to turn those obstacles into opportunities?
Yes.
And they're just really
Todos queremos saber cómo se hace eso. How do you do that?
Well, first of all, the temptation is for us to always focus on changing our circumstances. Don't do that. Everyone has problems. You've got focus on changing yourself. Most people focus on the outward and instead of working on the inward. And really what needs to be changed in our life is the way that we think. If we think correctly, everything else begins to come out correctly.
Wow. Es decir, que el problema para la mayoría de las personas que no pueden superar obstáculos es cómo piensan. Entonces, la pregunta sería, si yo no pienso bien, ¿eso quiere decir que tengo algo malo?
Well, no, although sometimes we think it is. You see, thinking really is a skill. It has to be learned. Ishmael, for example, what I call temptation is for us to always think.
transport. Please approach the road to create your pickup zone.
received a lot of awards for communication. I love to hear you speak personally. And yet, I'll bet you weren't born a communicator, were you?
No. I kind of trained myself.
Sure.
And I started when I was 8. Yo comencé, como muchos de ustedes saben, cuando tenía 8 años nada más de edad en la radio. Y luego cuando